Okay, so I finally watched 500 Days of Summer last night with Lauren, my neighbor, and like a quarter to half of the cake, which didn't taste as good as it looked, unfortunately. Wasn't bad, but wasn't spectacular. And then today I was watching some like analysis videos on it, and I have 2 full pages of thoughts, which is more than I expected. And I don't know if they're all going to make that much sense or like whatever, but this is just kind of what I got from the movie and what I didn't like. So I think first off, I'm just going to say, I don't know if I came in with too high expectations of the movie, because a lot of people have said it's good, or I've seen a lot of edits or whatever, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I kind of thought I would. I think there's a couple of things behind this, but I'll go through my notes, what I've written down. But it's not going to be in order / make much sense. Anyway, one of the things that I didn't expect, which couldn't really tell you why, was I didn't like the non-chronological like nature of the film. The fact that it would be like, oh, here's day 5, here's day 120, blah blah blah. I don't think it's actually a bad idea, but I just didn't really connect with it, didn't really like it that much. I think this might be because I've kind of seen so many clips and on Instagram and stuff like that they wouldn't have had the like cutscene, like the day number between. But I think in my head the film was going to be constructed more chronologically, and yeah, again, I can't fully tell you why I thought that, but that's just what I had in mind, and it didn't fit that, and so it annoyed me a little bit, even though it's probably not a bad idea. What else? Both romantic point of views of each character. So Summer being like, it's not real, blah blah blah. Like, that's a dumbed down version, but that's kind of what she was on. And then Tom getting his idea from movies and songs, I think they said, and going on like, I can't be happy until I find like the love of my life. I get that they're both meant to be polar opposites, and that's meant to make it not work, and that's like part of the conflict of the film. It just, and I think I know that it's meant to be, those point of views aren't meant to be liked or celebrated, but it just annoyed me more than I thought it would. My pen, man. I did like again, I watched an analysis on this. In the scenes that they were happy, they were obviously the whole thing, the clothes, the backgrounds, just the general vibe was like lighter. And then the scenes that they were happy was darker. And I think that what they weren't even trying to be subtle about it, but I thought that it just made it feel a bit nicer, seeing how the characters felt without having to look at the characters, I guess. And another thing, this is what I've found with movies in general that I've watched recently. I think the film was like roughly an hour 40. Not enough events. There was a lot of small things going on. But 500 Days is roughly a year and a half, and they kind of met, and then like day 30 they kissed, and it's like after that there's 470 days, and I get that they break up on 320, 330, something like that, but even that is 8 to 9 months. And I didn't really see that much of them being together, and I think that was partly where some of the movie fell apart for me. was because I couldn't get attached. Like people were being like, "Oh my god, don't watch this high. You're gonna be so upset." Like it's a devastating movie. But I think in 1.5 years of them knowing each other, there was never a point they showed me they were in love with each other. So I think Tom obviously says, like, "I love you. I love the way she does this, blah blah blah." But apart from just taking his word for it, I couldn't see it in him. And then Summer, I don't think she says "I love you" at any point or anything like that. But clearly, she at some point she's like, "I like you, Tom," but without them saying it, like you're really struggling to convince me that. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the characters, and I think I'm going to shit on Summer for like 5 straight minutes because she just really pissed me off. But the first thing, I don't know if this was intentional or this is just the actor Zoe Deschanel's, just what she does. Her voice has, like when she's talking, I can tell there's like her tone changes and whatnot when she talks to try and display emotion or meaning behind the words she's saying without just the words. But there's just no emotion behind them. So even though her tone changes, like nothing she says can convince me, and I think I don't know if it's again intentional that as a character, but she just almost seems unconvinced by everything she's saying as well. No passion, doesn't care. That annoyed me. In the second half of their relationship, where someone's already gone, I think we should see other people. So firstly, at the wedding, the guy was in love. It's like, she knows Tom liked him, and she has a chat to him. She goes, "We should dance together," and then she falls asleep on his shoulder. I think that was out of line. And I think for someone that keeps saying, "I don't want a relationship," I think it's unfair on Tom to be acting the way she did. And I think in the final scene, she got married to this other guy. Clearly their friendship was never going to work out as a friendship. Why was she there? Like, Tom's sitting there sad about it, and she goes, "Oh, I thought I'd find you here." Why did she go seek him out? And then she had nothing nice to say. I get that she's speaking from her own perspective about her own life, but all the things, or like 3 or 4 things, if I was Tom, I'd be devastated. And she had to have known that. So why is she rocked up just to, I feel like she's gotten something out of it, but he's just should be upset by half the shit she said. And she's got to have known that, so why put him through that? What else? Summer acting disinterested made me uncomfortable. She could have either said something about it or just I think it leans into the lack of emotion that I couldn't see in her words. I couldn't hear it. She just always felt disinterested. And then when she was meant to actively be disinterested, it felt like colder than a normal person. So it just annoyed me a little bit. Before we get to Tom, I'll talk about the other characters. I liked his sister. I thought she was cool. But then the 3 other characters, or there's only sort of 2 in the movie, are his 2 mates. I don't think anyone else really does anything. And I get that the movie's mostly about Tom and then Summer as well. But none of the other characters had anything to them, I thought. I think a lot of movies have a nice side character where you go, "That guy's funny, that guy's got a good point," or "Wow, they've got a good quote," or they're helping, the main characters have a bit more something to them by them being there. I didn't think they did a whole lot or were overly engaging. What else? To Tom, he was a little bit stupid and a little bit annoying, and obviously we're looking at the movie from his point of view, but I think he was quite self-righteous about the whole situation. And I think he had some reasons to be, but not enough to act the way he did. And the fact that he felt like he did have those, like he did have the right to act the way he did, annoyed me a bit. Again, I get that's kind of the point of the character, but it didn't annoy me going like, oh, fuck this character, like, but it's still like a really well-written character, like it just annoyed me. And then the other thing, maybe I was a little bit high, but I didn't understand the narrator or the purpose of him whilst watching. But looking at the videos after, they pointed out that it's to like reinforce or re-emphasize the fact that the movie is from Tom's point of view, but also he is a bit selfish. And it focuses on his point of view on love, and that he is looking at the whole thing from how he views love compared to what Summer sees, which I really like the idea. I just didn't quite get it until I watched it, like a video afterwards explaining that. And I thought it was interesting that in the last days of Summer, like for the last, 100 days, like he sees her like once, but the fact that he can't enter a new life phase until there's another girl, what's her name, Autumn, appears in his life. I thought that was interesting, that despite the fact they show him like kind of trying to improve his life in his own way by doing the architecture stuff, which is something he's meant to be more passionate about, that his life still revolves around finding a romantic interest, even though his point of view on love is meant to be changed, like he's meant to not believe in it as much by the end of the movie. Like the fact they determine his life phases by the girls he's thinking about shows his point of view hasn't changed that much, which all the analysis has said like that by the end of the movie his view of love was like shattered. But I think that kind of says otherwise. And then a question I had from the movie is, in a lot of the things I watch afterwards, they described Summer as being like aromantic or asexual, well not asexual, but aromantic, and therefore having different expectations and boundaries, what you're comfortable with, whatever. But I don't think, I want to know if this can justify the poor treatment or disregard for others' emotions, because you're thinking about, yes, Summer might not feel a certain way, but does that give her the right to, I guess, lead on Tom a bit, because she, despite her not feeling that way, she must know how he feels. And so some would say she set boundaries at the start, saying we're not going to date, but then they kind of did just date. So where's the line between, I guess that's the other question, between expectations. She set them early, but then she almost didn't follow her own expectations, which hurt them both. So anyway, overall, I hyped it up in my head too much, I think. But a lot of small things annoyed me. And yeah, the whole thing just didn't quite come together as well as I thought it would. So I think on Letterboxd, to be honest, I think I'd give it like 2.5 out of 5. Like I see why people like it, but it just didn't come together for me. All right, that's all.